Welcome to another edition of A Strange New Pod. I am your captain and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best bridge crew in the quadrant, our very overqualified comms officer, Rear Admiral Eric, and the Baron of Yorktown Station, and Section 31's Employee of the Month 1 year running, Ensign Aaron. Lieutenant Hawk is on a training mission tonight, and we'll see him next week. But we are also joined by a very, very special guest tonight, and that is from our sister podcast, Everything is Permitted, a man who, if given the option, would gladly take the entire Federation charter in steelbook form. Admiral Matt Reppert, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Admiral? He's an admiral? What is this shit?
So he's an admiral because, one, I've been doing a podcast with him the longest, so he gets it. And two, Marcy did do a caricature of him, and he wanted admiral. So
have you seen my uniform and how many pips I have?
Those are fake pips, goddamn.
Those are real pips, and you take it back.
Also, as an admiral, I may or may not be have some dark plan that could threaten the whole Federation.
Bad admirals, the constant Trek trope.
Admiral.
There were no badmirals in Star Trek Beyond. I'm just pointing that out. Only bad captains.
Only a bad guy from many years ago, like the last two movies.
Wow. I just put that together.
Man.
Nice cup, by the way, there, Eric.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
no,
nice.
not at all. Oh, boy. Ensign Brittany, by the way, is not joining us tonight. She's dealing with a personal family matter this week, and our thoughts are with her and her family, but she is here in the chat, so she's chatting with all you fine folk tonight. So speaking of our good friends on Twitch, please keep your comments, questions coming all night long. This does wrap up our Kelvin-verse deep dive series with Star Trek Beyond. Part of the reason, Matt, that you're joining us tonight is that up until you came over the other night, you had never seen Star Trek Beyond. So we got kind of a fresh take on the movie, which came out in 2016. So we'll be getting into that. As always, thanks to Sam Dillard and Samo Studios for our awesome intro and outro music. We love the beats and shouting, which there's actually none of in our intro. So anyway, before we get into everything, Aaron, how can people support our show and join our collective?
Well, Julian, they could do many different things. They could join our Discord where we, when we do these movie watches. So last night, you guys were on the Discord and we all chatted up on this lovely thing. And it's a good time. It's a fun way to sort of rewatch these things. And it's sort of like Mystery Science Theater 3000. And we can also have you join our Patreon. So if you join, we've got a $1, $2, $5, and $10 level. You can get drunk with me and Julian as we watch fun episodes of Star Trek. You will be able to, you get some episodes earlier. Am I right, Julian?
You used to, not anymore. Not anymore because we do the live and then we go right on Fridays. But that used to be a perk, so you weren't far off.
Hey, listen, there's lots of other cool stuff you get too. We have pins that you get that are really awesome. You get discounts on merch, a lot of cool things like that. So you can also join us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, if you want to see what we're up to. And we're running a contest right now, actually, where we're giving away the Blu-rays for Star Trek Lower Decks, which are super cool. Julian's showing them right now if you're listening to the audio.
It's not just the Blu-ray, it is the Steelbook edition too. It's fancy and it's nice. So, yeah.
So just retweet that, or it's also on the Instagram, right?
It is. So you could so the contest right now goes until next Wednesday, and then we'll announce the winner on that Thursday for our Thursday show. Retweet our tweet and then also reply to it with your favorite Lower Decks moment. It's that simple. And then if you're doing the contest on Instagram, all you need to do on the same image that we just posted is reply with your favorite Lower Decks moment. That easy, that simple. We'll enter you. We'll do a drawing next week. It's a lot of fun. Everybody loves the Lower Decks because Mariner and contraband.
Hey, my favorite moment was when they all had their margaritas and they said friendship, because that reminds me of all of us.
Indeed. Friendship is the key. Friendship. Cheers. I'm drinking whiskey tonight in honor of Jim Kirk and the whiskey that him and Bones were sharing that they stole from Chekhov. Who steals shit from a person's locker? Does that happen, Matt, at your job?
Up.
Do people steal shit from your lockers?
Oh no, police are the worst thieves. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, that was
I've lost so many flashlights I can't even begin to tell you. If you leave something somewhere, that sucker's gone. It's gone into the void.
The void indeed. Well, there was a void in this movie. It was a nebula. we're going to be talking about that. Aaron, thank you for our awesome spiel of how to join our collective. And listen, if you can't afford to support us financially, we'd love to have you on our Discord. Like Aaron said, we have a lot of great conversations going on there. Like Lexi likes to ask, I think like at least once a week, maybe once a day. I mean, what about the Remans? What happened to them? It's an important conversation. But before we get into the meat of our show and the Strange New Loop, Eric, who do we have to thank?
Apparently it says, thanks, Eric. It says thanks.
It
Eric.
does say thanks, Eric.
I'm
It
just
really
joking.
does.
So thank you to our Patreons: Simon Stager, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Meg, and Bradley, Spotted Giraffe, Rob, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santo, Ken Kui, JD, Takako Nagumo, Kara Kennedy, Mark, Dana Pearson, Fernanda Nogales, and SMK.
Woo woo!
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons. You guys rock so much. All right, guys. It is that time of the show. We're moving fast tonight. This is what happens when there's only 4 of us. I like it. Speed. Warp speed. Oh,
Warp
wait.
10, let's go.
About to say, we
Lizard
gonna
babies.
become lizard people now, or
Did
Lizard
somebody...
babies.
lizard
Lizard
creatures?
babies. Wait.
Julian,
where-
hit it.
Hit it.
Lizard babies.
And we'll do one of these for warp speed in good measure.
Give me warp.
5,
Okay.
6, 7, 8.
Wait, do. So let's do it. Let's get into the Strange New Loop. And it is a simple question this week. And Twitch, join us as well on this, please. In honor of Jim Kirk's wariness as a captain in Star Trek Beyond. As a starship captain, would you rather take A, a 5-year mission, B, a deep space observation and discovery mission, 3, a recon and patrol mission?
3.
Was that 3? Did I say 2?
AB3.
I did. Was I doing A and B and then went to 3? That's
Yep,
what
I liked
happens.
it.
I like it. We'll go back to the letters. C, a space station post, or D, a neutral zone. This is specific to the patrol post, a neutral zone patrol post. Matt, as our guest, would you like to start?
I mean, obviously 5-year mission, because I'm all about exploring strange new worlds, seeking out new life and new civilizations. I mean, and also some of the questions I would have is, if I'm going to be at a space station, is it going to be somewhere deep in Federation space, or am I going to be on Deep Space Nine and here comes the Dominion dealing, and I got to deal with that? So I'm all about dealing with the new and weird.
It's kind of a crapshoot, right? Like if you're on one of the space stations, it could either be the most boring thing in the world, you resupply, you go to sleep, or it's the Dominion and lots of people are dying.
Or the
So,
Yorktown.
Or the Yorktown. Yeah, good point. Who wants to go next?
I think.
I will.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh.
No,
Aha.
yeah.
I think I agree with Matt. I think the 5-year deep space mission sounds more interesting, because the neutral zone, I mean, that's just like, let's just drive back and forth. That's like being the guys who have to stand outside of like the North Korea, South Korea border zone. It's like tension, a lot of tension, but not a lot happening.
Yeah, fair enough.
I feel you. Yeah, who wants to do the neutral zone? Really? I worked at the Canadian-U.S. border. It's not fun, right? It's not fun.
Wait, who are the Romulans in the Canadian-U.S. border scenario?
It's definitely
Always the Americans.
Eric,
Ferengi, Klingons.
what's your best border story that you have for us? Because I need to hear this.
Oh,
I
you
do
know,
need to hear
there's like there's an old man who pooped in the like pooped in his pants and chuck it out his leg, and it was just there on our floor, and we're like, well, we're not doing that. There was the people who had like millions of dollars in like jewelry in their like luggage and like in their trunks and stuff like that. It's just, fun stuff like that. I never got any of the fun drug things. That's sad.
I'm now picturing like Jean-Luc Picard, like Captain's Log, Stardate, like some guy pooped on the floor, and we're just not dealing with that today.
We just saw this like old couple like get scurried out really fast by their daughter, like adult daughter, and we're like, what happened? We walked to the aisle, we're like, oh shit.
You got to imagine if somebody poops in the middle of the floor. Oh, Rob, Captain's Log. Am I right?
Oh, come on.
Well done,
Rob.
Rob. Well done.
Well, Brittany's not here. Someone had to
Brittany's
say it.
not here, so we'll give Rob an honorary one since Brittany's not here.
Shut up, Wesley.
There it is. You got to imagine though, if someone pooped in the middle of like the Enterprise floor, right? Picard would just be like, "Doo-doo-doo. Mr. LaForge, one to beam up, please. One log to beam up." You just beam that shit, no pun intended, into space.
That works better than I think like a little robot, because I just feel like that is just ugh.
Okay, so I'm gonna, I guess, be the boring ass one here. I would take the neutral zone job because listen,
Really?
well, yeah, okay. Like if you think about it, right? Like let's say I have a really advanced. I mean, listen, it's the neutral zone. They're gonna give me a good ship at least. I won't be bored. I won't be bored on the ship. No, they're not gonna give me some rundown like Oberth class and watch the neutral zone. Like, what if a Romulan warbird fucking
You call the
crosses?
Enterprise and they
I
come.
mean, yeah, all you're gonna do is send the distress
Then you run.
signal.
Yeah, you said a distress
You're the
call, they
guys
just get
who died
destroyed. Yeah,
valiantly.
exactly. No, I would see it would be fun though for the off chance that like someone tries to sneak over and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And they get in like a snarky back and forth with a Romulan or a Klingon, and I'd be like, nothing. We were just taking a peek at this nebula." I'm like, "You need to cross back on your line, sir." I don't know. There's something. I like it. I like the neutral zone. I like Romulans. So,
That's your way that you can hang out with the Romulans.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure like there's probably one of those stations on the neutral zone too where both are allowed and they just drink Romulan ale and get drunk all the time. So it doesn't sound horrible, right?
I like it. We've got the whole fleet right here.
We do. It's true. There we go.
3 5-year missions and a patrol guard.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
It works.
On Twitch, Rob wrote that he would take a space station position. I need a bar that's constantly restocked. That's fair.
I'm with you.
Spotted Draft says a 5-year mission for show. Jay Crabsap says 5-year mission for me. And NYRLA brings up the good point. Based on the casualty rate in the original series, you have a 1 in 5 chance of surviving a 5-year mission.
I mean, what's
good
life if not a little bit of excitement? Danger.
I'm assuming I'm a main character, so I have plot armor. That's
plot armor.
Plot armor's
taking
fair.
Giraffe
Metal,
with me.
metal
She's on my
armor
ship.
sweater.
Everybody's going for the 5-year mission. Engineer says I'd go gray with a not so neutral zone. Give me that 5-year mission. Yeah. So there you go. Anything else? No. Okay. Oh wait, sorry. Takako says I think I would take a space station. I like stability until there's the Dominion War. Just saying, or these ships,
Little
just
B
like-
ships.
Yeah, little B ships break the glass, and then everybody's fucked.
or the 5-year mission crew stops by and finds out your space station has been taken over by some alien presence or whatever.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and you get like the Bajoran,
Or triples.
Yeah, you got Kai Wynn with her like religious fanaticism,
Oh,
like
God.
preaching on the
Kai
promenade.
Wynn.
Ugh, Kai Wynn.
God,
You missed our Kai Wynn convo.
Yeah, I'm glad. I hate Kai Wynn so much.
You and every other Star Trek fan. Let's get into Star Trek Beyond. It is our final Kelvin-verse deep dive, and yeah, this is the one not directed by J.J. Abrams. This is the Justin Lin one. And Matt, would you like to go ahead and read our synopsis, please?
Absolutely. After stopping off at Starbase Yorktown, a remote outpost on the fringes of Federation space, the USS Enterprise, halfway into their 5-year mission, is destroyed by an unstoppable wave of unknown aliens. With the crew stranded on an unknown planet and with no apparent means of rescue, they find themselves fighting against a ruthless enemy with a well-earned hatred of the Federation and everything it stands for. Only a rebellious alien warrior can help them reunite and leave the planet to stop this deadly menace from beginning a possible galactic war.
As far as like all the synopsises we've had for the movies, this one is not bad.
It's actually pretty good.
That pretty much covers it.
This is directly from Paramount, so I guess the company putting out the movie better write a really good synopsis for it. You would hope. I do have a problem with one line in this movie, in this synopsis. Well-earned hatred.
Yeah, I
The
actually, as I was
Federation.
reading it, I thought the same thing.
Well,
Yeah, because you don't find that out until 80% of the movie is gone.
but
which
is
I
it
actually
still
think is
well
a
earned?
problem with
I don't
the
think
movie.
It's not well earned whatsoever.
So he was part of Mako. He got switched to the Federation, and then they couldn't
He's
find
just a
him.
dick.
Yeah. Hey, before we continue, Matt, is there any way you can lower your camera, sir? So apparently only the top of
We
your
can only
face
see
is
this
showing.
much of you.
Oh, on Twitch too. There
You
we
look
go.
like the guy from Home Improvement, the neighbor.
Oh, I remember that.
Hey, Wilson dropped
Wilson.
useless wisdom to Tim all the time. So
All the
True.
time. All the time.
I
It's
hated
true.
that show so much.
Yeah, we're gonna we're gonna talk a lot more about whether Krall is got some well-earned hatred for the Federation. I think we're all leaning towards no right now. Having said that, before we get into the actual acts of the film, when this first came out, I wasn't 100% thrilled with it. I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was bad by any means, but it just didn't do anything for them the first couple times. But after watching it last night, and especially talking with Discord and having Matt over, I had a lot of fun, and I actually really enjoyed this movie a lot more. Did you guys have any different experiences watching it again? Matt, you watched it for the first time, so you're in a unique position.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, I can go first, or you can let.
No, go ahead.
So my thing with this movie is that some parts of it kind of reminded me of like what movies in the 90s did to make things like rad and extreme. You got the dirt bike, you got like them almost surfing a wave of drones and stuff like that.
100% surfing.
I mean, and plus like you have the cool music and everything. Like there's so much about this movie that kind of screamed to me like they wanted to be hip and cool and all that. And I enjoyed the movie, don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna lie and say that I didn't notice those things.
Yeah,
I think you hit it right on the head. I saw it when it came out, and my thought, I haven't seen it since then until I rewatched it today, and it's fun and it's like beautiful, but it's also forgettable because I didn't remember anything about this movie, and it's all the things Matt said. Like it looks like they were like, what cool shit can we do, and let's put a plot around that. Because like the city, what's it called, Yorktown,
Yorktown
Yeah.
Station, yeah,
super cool, right? But like there's like eight more action sequences that they don't need that many in the movie, and you don't, the main villain, Krall, or whatever the hell his name is, if they don't give him any agency until 80% of the movie's over, and then at that point you don't give a shit anymore, because you're like, you never find out who these guys are until the movie's almost over. You never find out why he's trying to do his thing, and it's kind of silly anyway. And then I don't know, there's just like, it's a fun movie, like it's a good watch, and I was like, oh, this is fun, but also like totally forgettable.
Star Trek movies have always had the problem of you're trying to market a movie which, for all intents and purposes, has a very dedicated and I'm not trying to belittle anybody, but intelligent fan base to the mass market. And you're not going to get most Star Trek movies, like, for example, the original Star Trek, which spent like minutes just showing exterior shots of the Starship Enterprise. You're not going to be able to do that in a modern movie.
yeah.
Well, not with that attitude. You know what? When I saw this movie, I loved it because I really hated Into Darkness. Like, it was such a bummer getting out of that movie, and then seeing this movie, it reminded me of the old series. It reminded me of an episode of Star Trek. Like, that's what this is. It's a giant Star Trek episode. You know, we don't remember all of the Star Trek episodes, but remember they're fun, and that's what this movie was. And it was really a throwback to like old fun movies. Like,
Yeah.
like Matt
Yeah,
was
I
saying,
mean-
with the special effects, the shiny, and look at the fun music. It was a fun movie.
It's basically what Insurrection tried to do, except I feel like Beyond did it well, because Insurrection felt like a long
Agree.
TNG episode that was mainly just boring, where this felt like a good episode of TOS, whatever. It doesn't matter what series. It just felt like a good episode of Star Trek.
Yeah. The issue is that we didn't understand why the bad guys were doing this for such a long time, and like even when we did, we didn't really care, because like Yorktown blows up, who cares? Like, it's not going to destabilize the Federation. They're just going to have a broken, space station with a bunch of dead people.
Well, to be fair, there were millions of people on that station.
Yeah,
so
but there's probably like trillions of people in the Federation, right?
no, fair, but
Quadrant spanning Federation
Yeah.
would
But it's
be
not going to
overthrown by.
destabilize it.
No,
like especially if they don't know why it happened.
like if the target was Earth again, or like like some sort of like ruling body, like, well, I guess they did that in the last movie, but they forgot about a lot of the things they did in the last movie, so it doesn't really matter.
I
Yeah,
think it
go
takes
ahead.
the movie from like fun to really solid if they introduce this information much earlier, because they kind of like quickly do this thing where you see the footage early in the film. And I think if they just would have fucking done it then, because then it gives them time to give this character agency. It also gives Kirk a second, like, he could even do that thing of like, you know, what you're doing is wrong, like, look at it. And it could even give like a moment of like that character having hesitation, giving him a little more humanity. I think that would have taken it to like the epic level. But like you say, it's like a really, really good episode of TOS.
Yeah. Something that we're going to talk a lot about more in a little bit, that NYR Light Road, I didn't want to not say it now because it's a great point. Beyond was the first time I really felt that Chris Pine was the Kirk I remember from TOS. And if if that is one thing that you're going to take away from Star Trek Beyond, it's the big three, and we're going to talk about them a lot later.
Kirk, Kirk immediately negotiates double punches, fists, and then rips his shirt. Like, how can you not be Kirk? Right? That's his first 15 minutes.
Yeah. Speaking of the first 15 minutes, let's get right into Act 1, and this one's you, Eric.
It is. Eric. Act 1. The Federation starship USS Enterprise arrives at Starbase Yorktown for resupply and shore leave for its crew. Struggling to find meaning in its exploration, Captain Kirk has applied for a promotion to Vice Admiral. He recommends Spock as his replacement. Meanwhile, Hikaru Sulu reunites with his family, Montgomery Scott works to keep the ship operational, and Spock and Nyota Uhura have ended their relationship. Spock also receives word from New Vulcan that Ambassador Spock has died. What do we think of the opening of the film? From Kirk second-guessing himself to his conversation over some whiskey with Bones.
It was a fun start, like with the he's on that planet. It felt like actually like a crazy zany episode, which I liked, because these things are like pissed off at him and he doesn't really get it, and then they attack him, and I like that they make them seem so big, and then it jumps down and it's like he's getting attacked by a lot of puppies.
Yeah,
they adopt at the end of the movie. They get one.
It felt
Kevin,
like
no, still not wearing pants, Kevin.
It felt like, what was that movie called? Oh my god, what, Galaxy Quest. That's what the beginning felt like. And I love that it felt like that because Galaxy Quest felt like old Star Trek, and this beginning felt like old Star Trek. Like it's such a good way to start it, especially like him getting worn down. Sort of felt like Pike as well from the from the bad cage, seeing all his shirts and seeing what the crew's going through at that time. I thought it was great to see the actual wear and tear of this group. Like, and it's the first real crew that's going on a 5-year mission, right? So we don't know. They didn't know how that affects anyone.
It's like Voyager. They're all hooking up and shit.
And there's an Orion woman, because there always must be an Orion.
Always an Orion.
There's always an Orion.
Well, they just got out of all that bad slavery and all that piracy.
Oh God.
How about you, Matt?
So one thing, I understand they were trying to show that Kirk was a little weary of the mission, but at the same time, that's not the Kirk that I know. The Kirk I know is all about just still, even old William Shatner Kirk. I never got the impression, at least for the most part, that he was beat down by his mission or anything up to that point. And I know that later on in the movie, he does kind of become that Kirk that, we all know and love. But if there's one thing I picture with Kirk, it's at least with the mission, I never picture him being like, well, I'm kind of tired of this, guys. And also, like, did they establish in the movie if he applied to be the rear admiral, or if they were just trying to promote? So that's another thing, because Kirk never, like, they promoted him because, like, you've done everything, dude. You are promoted. It's also, to me, it's not very characteristic for him to actually apply to get promoted, because
yeah.
But this is Kelvin Kirk. He's different.
Yeah, it's also it's an earlier Kirk too. He's not gone through all that trial by fire, right? It's both.
Yeah.
He's hella young, by the way, to be an admiral. I mean, I still have a problem with him jumping every rank to captain. Let's put the 30-year-old in the admiral seat. Let's do it.
Imagine you're some lifer Federation officer, and here comes some 20-something-year-old who has jumped like every rank above you. Like, I've been serving for 40 years.
It's weird. Like it's wearing on him, right? This adventure, but. You know what would wear on me more? Sitting at a desk and doing paperwork all the time.
Yeah,
right.
Well, also, Then they say they've only been in like 2 or 3 years, so
It was like 2.5 years.
Yeah, they haven't been doing it that long. Like, come on, man. Like, if he'd like done one 5-year mission or something, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna send you on another one," I'd understand him being a little weary. But you're only like halfway through this, bro. Like,
They should have just done the full 5 years. Like, it should have just been the end of it, and he could have been.
That's
Like,
a good.
I agree
That's a
with
fair
that.
point. I actually really don't. I don't have a problem with him being worn down, especially because, like Aaron said, in a more serious matter, this is a different Jim Kirk, right? This isn't prime Jim Kirk. This isn't someone who wanted to join Starfleet, right? Like Jim Kirk in TOS was inspired by his father, who was still alive in Starfleet, to join Starfleet, and he got to see him graduate from the academy and everything. This Jim Kirk joined Starfleet Academy because a guy who wrote a paper about his dad dared him to do it, and he got in, and he's did a lot of shit. And yeah, he got captain way too early. And is he way too young to be applying to be a vice admiral? Yes, like undoubtedly, right? But I don't make the rules. That being said, I understand the wear and tear. I like that they add this human factor to him, and again, like Eric said, it is very reminiscent of The Cage, right? But even more so, I love this opening because of how it reflects Wrath of Khan and his conversation with Bones in Wrath of Khan, and how good that was about him being worn down. Because Matt, he does in Wrath of Khan, I don't think he's so much, he's still kind of questioning his role as an admiral, right? Because he's like, I should be up in the stars, but now I'm basically just a paper pusher. So he does have that, like, should I just call it quits and retire moment? But it's a little
but that's when he's an admiral, not when he's
right, exactly.
Not when he's still captain. Like, fire, let's do stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if I don't have a problem with just because I like the bar scene and I like the captain's log, and I just like him walking the corridors of a ship and seeing his crew, and something did something for me there. So I really like the opening.
Yeah. I like the conversation between Bones and Kirk over that drink.
It's my favorite scene in the movie.
It's such a, it feels like perfect. Like those two actors are perfectly those characters, and them sharing that drink, them stealing it from from Chekhov. Like that's perfect. Like,
well, I call those like the slice of life moments, and I think those are, I realize the whole shows can't be that, but I love those in all the series when you get to see them not doing shit that's, saving everybody. Like when you see Picard in his bathrobe and he's playing his piccolo and just stuff that is about them.
Yeah.
I also have to admit I loved seeing Sheree Agdashlu play the admiral in this.
Yes,
she's wonderful. Her voice, she could just read anything, and I just like
she's
sit there
amazing.
listening to her.
She's a scene stealer. Like she pulls
Always.
focus in a good way.
Yeah. That's why you should watch The Expanse.
I tried, man. I tried.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Just keep going. One more season.
Can I skip the first episode because I've never gotten through it? It's so shit.
Just watch.
What?
Just watch it
I
and
agree,
then go.
Aaron,
It's
I
like
agree.
watching.
Thank
Some
you.
people
You
have
both
said.
are-
Hey, listen to this. I know people that have said that they don't like Battlestar because of the miniseries before, because they thought it was boring.
amazing.
I know. I liked it too, and I liked the first episode of The Expanse, but I told them to get through it to get to the rest of it. So that's what I'm
I'll
saying to
start
you.
from episode 2 and see if that's
Watch
better.
all of it, because the stuff that happens at the end of
I
the first
can't.
episode.
I get to 45 minutes in and I'm like, this is
Just
so
finish it. There's only
stupid.
15 more minutes.
I'll just start there because
Nope.
then I think I can handle it.
Watch The
Well, I'll
Expanse.
start at the 15
We're gonna do an
minutes.
Expanse episode.
Okay.
No, we're not.
I live in California. I'll smoke a lot of weed.
Go for
There
it.
you
What
go.
do they call it? God's lettuce?
What does God need with some lettuce?
Ah, it's legal here.
God's lettuce. It's weed. He likes to enjoy his downtime as well. I don't know. I'm not religious. I don't know how these things work.
Watch The Expanse.
So, guys, Star Trek.
Yeah. So, all done with the opening of this
Ye-
sequence.
Yes.
So do we think? Do we think the handle?
Well,
okay.
because-
What do you guys
yeah.
think of how they handled Leonard Nimoy's death? Like we saw the council from New Vulcan come to Spock and talk to him, and then at the end of the film we see the little picture of the original cast. What do you guys think? How they honored Leonard Nimoy and his death in this film?
It was great. Honestly, you couldn't just ignore the fact that Leonard Nimoy passed away a year before this movie came out. You had to do something, and it was subtle. It was a very like they made a big deal out of it, but didn't make a big deal out of it. If that makes any sense, because Spock, Ambassador Spock, has passed away, and obviously it affected Zachary Quinto's Spock quite a bit for obvious reasons. But the movie did it in such a way that it wasn't like the producer saying like Leonard Nimoy's dead, everybody. It made sense in this universe, and I actually really enjoyed how they did that. They paid tribute to the man and the character at the same time.
And the original crew at the same time as well, right? That's amazing.
I thought it was just right. It wasn't too much. It felt like it lived in the world without, pulling focus, but it's also like a nice nod, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes these nods just they don't have anything to do with the plot, but they intertwine it with Spock's plot in this movie so well because he's thinking about leaving Starfleet and going to help
Make
his
Vulcan
people
babies.
make
Vulcan babies.
and Prime Spock dying is a huge factor on him throughout the movie. He tells Bones about it. Like, it's not just one scene, it's multiple scenes where this death has affected him. And Simon Pegg did such a great job. And I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the other guy. I know I have it in our notes for the
Doug Jung.
Yeah, Doug Jung they both of them just did a great job with the script and making that work seamlessly.
Agree.
So Enterprise is dispatched on a rescue mission after an escape pod drifts out of a nearby uncharted nebula. Its occupant, Kalara, claims her ship is stranded on Altamid, a planet in the nebula. A massive swarm of small ships ambushes and quickly begins to tear the Enterprise apart. The swarm's leader, Krall, and his crew board the crippled Enterprise, capture and kill many crew members, and attempt to capture the Abernath, the relic that was Abernath. The relic that was recovered during that recent mission at the beginning with the little dog creatures or dog aliens. Kirk orders the crew to abandon ship, leaving the remains of the Enterprise saucer section to crash over Altamid. Thoughts on the JJprise's ultimate demise here and the introduction of Idris Elba's Krall? One thing can be said for sure: the VFX for this sequence, Yorktown, everything was amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Yorktown looks like beautiful. I was okay with them doing like a little bit of a flyover, and it looked really, really cool. I do have issue with this character. What's her name? Forgettable lady.
It's later, the spy. It's
Kalara.
Forgettable lady number 1.
Okay, we can translate what she's saying. We're not going to have any sort of conversation with her, get to know her at all. Let's get her on the ship. Let's go and take this out. Like, this character is so... she gets them there, but, like, inconsequential. I mean, I like how they get rid of her. It's kind of funny. But just, there's... I don't know. It's just like, what? Too quick.
Well, I was confused about the universal translator here. Like, doesn't it normally just change everyone to look like they're speaking English? Like, isn't that what we're supposed to think?
Yeah.
And then they did this like robot.
I was wondering
over.
that too.
And I was like, okay, that's a neat choice.
It's a little jarring, actually.
Yeah.
Also, like, at no point did they like question her. She basically says like, "Oh, my ship isn't," and like they weren't like, "So, all right, what's your ship doing out there? Where are you from? We'll contact your people and find out if your ship is supposed to be out." Like, they didn't do any kind of investigation. They just said, "You know what? We'll send like our most advanced ship out into some nebula where we can't contact it. I'm sure it won't be a trap."
It's so silly. Like,
that being said, again, I still like this scene. I like the setup for it. I don't know. I love everything about Chris Pine as Kirk in this movie, so I think that has a lot to do with it. The VFX of the ship going through the nebula, like the clouds like bouncing off the saucer, just hats off to the VFX team for this movie. That being said, there were about 1,000 different scenarios the Federation and Starfleet could have done before sending the Enterprise into the nebula.
Spotted a draft in the Twitch is saying that, but Kirk and crew going off and just believing someone is so original TOS,
so original
right?
Series, right?
That's just what they do. It's so true.
Come on,
so
guys,
true,
send a probe. Send at least one fucking probe.
As far as the Enterprise being destroyed, it's you can't take anything away from the action sequence, right? Because it's really fucking cool. It's amazing the way you've never seen a ship like that get destroyed in that manner. So it's an amazing VFX spot. It's shocking. It's jarring. I'm just mad that it happened because you only had like 3 movies with this beautiful ship. And Rob says on Twitch, I'm going to read it even though I don't want to. 3 cheers for destroying the USS Ugly Prize. 3 boos for replacing it with an even uglier ship, which I do agree with the end part. The Enterprise A at the end of this movie is an ugly piece of shit.
That's because they Frankenstein the ship that they were building in the Yorktown to do it.
Yeah.
God.
But I don't like the Enterprise getting destroyed, and it's just because like the Enterprise lasted for so long. This goes back to what Matt was saying about, not the Kirk. I know I'm like, well, this is the Enterprise. It just doesn't get blown up like this. The only reason that Kirk, the Enterprise gets destroyed is because it's Kirk's very last ditch effort in search for Spock. Like, you just don't do our baby like that. And it just, they could have kidnapped the crew off the ship and then gone back to the Enterprise at the end of the movie. I know. Still had the Franklin.
Made the ship so interesting because they were like, there was points where they're like running on the side of it with all the damage. Like, I actually thought we got to see a lot more of the ship, and it looked more real once it was kind of beat up, because it's so fucking clean and lens flary. It's like, my God.
Yeah. I actually like the destruction of the ship, even though I like the design of this Enterprise. I thought it was neat that there was a saucer separation that I didn't realize that one did as well.
That kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah, I didn't think the original
do the escape pods come with the outfit that some of them had when they got down there? It's like, okay, every escape pod is going to have an outfit that's going to fit the specific person, some weapons and shit. Male outfit, female outfit, we got you covered.
They get inside and it changes their clothes as they fly down.
Yeah, well, I was like, did they change when they got out of the pod?
Kirk had his whole like jacket get a perfect outdoor weather for an ice planet when he landed his escape pod in Star Trek 09.
Oh, that's right. Maybe there's like a little shitty replicator in there. He replicates one outfit and some water.
So for the destruction of the Enterprise, I don't know if they intentionally did this or not, but the design of the Enterprise with the way the warp engines are off of it was because I think the person who designed it said, well, you could eject them if something happened. And so when they got broken off, I don't know if they intentionally kind of harkened back to that whole like original idea that the warp nacelles could just be ejected if they were starting to explode and everything. Because I kind of thought about that when that happened. And honestly, I didn't think about the uniform thing and the Kelvin pods as they called them, but now it's going to be the only thing I think of for the rest of my life.
I mean, listen, it's a good look. They really smashed in a lot of looks into this movie, because
that jacket is sexy, dude. I love that
it's a good look, but there's like the outfits on the Yorktown, those uniforms, which were weird, but I like them.
I like those too.
Ugly.
I like those.
And then I like them. And then there's the pod outfit, which is definitely like the best outfit of the show. But it's like, there's a lot going on. Why do we need so many outfits?
It's because some work with goggles and some don't.
True.
I will kind of say, though, one thing that did bother me is the Yorktown space station is so massive. I don't think it ever exists in the Star Trek universe, because no space station looks like this. This thing is huge.
What's the purpose of it having, like, it's there on the edge of this nebula? You can't send any radio signals or anything through.
Exactly. Like, I mean, it's like this thing has millions of people. Like, God knows how long it took to build, and I've never seen anything like it in the Star Trek universe.
Why are there that many people there on this one outpost?
Moon.
Oh my God! It's the Star Trek.
It's the Star Trek Death Star.
Except
without a super laser.
Yeah. What do you guys think of Idris Elba's introduction here?
Didn't do anything for me.
Forgettable?
Especially because he was under all that makeup.
You don't really hear him. There's also, what's his name? Oh my God. SubZero's in this too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Joe Taslim?
Joe Taslim, my God. Yeah, he's like his right-hand man. We don't see either of them in that introduction.
I didn't know that Joe Taslim was the right-hand man until you just said that.
Yeah.
Damn.
And they don't do anything to give these characters any interest until so long, like we said before, that it's just like, all right, well, there's that guy. Back to our friends.
Alien dude wrecks the Enterprise.
You'd think that they'd want to use the Enterprise to get back to the Yorktown, right?
That would
or something like that. I don't know. That just. Don't forget, there's Abed from Community in this movie as well. We'll talk about him later.
Yeah. Yep.
All good with this Act 1?
Act 1?
Aaron!
Act 2.
All right. So on the planet, Krall captures Sulu, Uhura, and the other survivors. Kirk and Chekhov, accompanied by Kalara, locate the Enterprise.
That's her name. That
Yes.
little nothing known about her character who we don't.
Yeah,
care
like
about.
gonna get killed. Who cares? They find the saucer section, and so Julian, you wrote this outline, and I can't even with this. Like, knowing that Kalara knew they would be attacked, they tricked her. It was like, wait, what? There are too many knowings.
I didn't write this. I copy and pasted this from Wikipedia. So.
Oh, Wikipedia, you're shit. Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
Sometimes
Someone in
if
the
I
Twitch edit this on Wikipedia.
Oh yeah, we don't want to be attacked by the Wikipedia people. They're everywhere.
They are.
So they knew she was a spy, and so they tricked her into revealing she was the spy. And then when she gets killed because they like kill her with the saucer section.
Did she die? I didn't even realize.
Oh yeah.
I totally
yeah,
forgot.
she
Yeah.
died.
But it's
She
like,
gets a pretty awesome death for a pretty meaningless fucking character.
yeah, but it's like you never really cared about her anyway. It's just another character I feel like they could have done more with, but it is an awesome death. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. What'd you guys think of that little bit? Just, you know.
I like seeing the saucer section lift up again.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
cool. That's about it.
I thought it was. Oh, sorry, Aaron.
No, you go.
I actually did very much like the moment when she thinks that Kirk has revealed the location of the artifact, and she's like, "Do you believe like every sad story?" And when she goes to grab it, he just goes, "Not everyone." I dug that moment.
It's so Captain Kirk, right?
Yeah.
Just,
Mhm.
Also,
that was an OG Captain Kirk moment for me.
the pairing of
Well-
Chekhov and Kirk was also awesome. Like, I love seeing those two characters together, especially since you don't see them that much in the previous movies.
yeah. And
They
won't
did a good
again.
job with that.
Yeah.
Like different people in this movie were together. So this lady, what was her name?
Kalara?
I've already forgotten.
Kalara.
Kalara. So her whole thing is she's doing this, or she says because of her people. If she brings them there, then hers will be saved. But like, we never see her people. Was she just hanging out with Krall?
I
Like,
thought
are
she
they
was part of that
BFF?
crew.
I thought she was part of the Krall people.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
or it could have been
Even though
Krall.
she-
Krall
But
could
she
have
looks
threatened her.
different, doesn't she? I forget.
Not that
Um,
different. It was a very similar looking
Okay.
makeup.
It's just like it's a little foggy on all the
Yeah.
details.
She is part of the original crew because they show her in the ending when they're showing all the original portraits. She's like the third last one.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. I really think it's cool, right? That the Enterprise gets a little bit, because even though it's been destroyed, you think, oh, well, there goes the Enterprise. God damn it. It kind of gets the last laugh, right? Because they activate that thruster, and then that whole like flipping scene. Oh man, it was so good. And then she just looks up at her, right? She's like, yeah, I'm fucked. And she dies.
Yeah,
And it's just like, out of different ways to go. Like it's pretty cool. And it's cool to see the Enterprise, because the Enterprise is just as much of a character as Kirk, I almost said Boimler.
Boimler.
It's true. As
Lower
much
Decks
of a
alert.
character as
That
Boimler.
would be the surprise cameo of the
Yeah, right.
past.
Yeah.
If
No,
Superman
really
shows
like
up?
This. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we have in our notes is like that the Enterprise basically got the last laugh there, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was really funny and clever. And you're right, because the ship is kind of part of it. Like, it's sci-fi. You know, you want it to be about the people, but like those things are part of the character. It's part of how they live and who they are and what, you know, it's something that has meaning to them. So it's like
Janeway says it in Voyager, right? Like Voyager is just as much a part of, like, the ship itself is just as much a part of the crew of Voyager as any of them. Like Janeway is in, it's like any captain just is in love with their ship. It's like their baby and is a member of that crew, despite the fact that it may not be alive. And I love that.
yeah. Well, you take care of it, it takes care of you, all of those things.
Yeah.
But going back to where we are in the film, we've got McCoy, and he's with Spock, who's got a big old nasty wound that he takes care of in a very McCoy kind of way.
I love that moment.
Oh my God! What do you say? What's your favorite color or something?
Something like that.
Yeah.
If you must know.
And I like that we get to see, like you were saying before, it's like a different pairing than we're used to.
That's the pairing we
and-
all wanted to.
Yes.
Yeah, and they talk about that whole, or you know, Bones wants to know what's going on with Spock and Uhura, and they sort of talk about that, which I thought was funny. Like, just that's another like slice of life moment while a whole bunch of shit is going down,
Yeah.
and you know, it's just like you get these little bits of story while a lot is going on, and I think that's pretty great.
I love that Spock and Bones had that moment where Spock is like, if I didn't tell you how much I respected you, and then Bones like, no. We know how we feel about each other. It's fine. We both like each other. I love that point. Like that felt very right.
Spock's trying to have this fancy death, and Bones is like, we're good. I don't want to. Yeah, no drama.
Yeah.
And then when he disappears, and Bones is
Typical.
like, fucking
Typical.
usual. And then he's like, ah! Then he gets beamed up.
Yeah.
I know I said this while we were watching it, Julian, but Karl Urban, the man, deserves way more love from the nerd culture than he gets, because he legit loves like almost like comic books, nerd stuff. He's been Dr. McCoy, Billy Butcher and the Boys, the best Judge Dredd ever, and
he's in the
Lord of the Rings
movie. He's the dude with the shake weights.
I was gonna say the Vin Diesel movies.
Oh yeah, those movies were terrible. But he was great.
Yeah, and I love Karl Urban to death, and at first I remember when he first appeared as Bones in the first Star Trek movie, I was very skeptical about him, but I grew to love him, and I think he's like one of my favorite characters in the Kelvin-verse movies. And I think that's because I also love Karl Urban so much, the actor, and he kills almost every scene in this movie for me.
Yeah.
He was
just
also
that whole like, oh, at least we'll die together, and then teleports out like that. His reaction is priceless to me.
Well, it's so Bones, right? It's some Oh.
I like that he's rarely doing anything medical to help anyone. Like, can you imagine if the doctor from Voyager was doing all this shit that Bones is doing?
Yeah. Lexi also pointed out that he was also Airmere in Two Towers.
I said that.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry, Eric.
He was also in Xena. Like, that's where he started. Like, man, he's old school nerd.
He's been doing it I think he gets plenty of love, honestly. Everybody's always talking about. He's that guy who disappears into a role and just like steals the scene. You're like, oh fuck, that's Karl Urban again.
Yeah, that's true.
So we already talked about some of the interactions in Act 1 with Bones and Jim, but the camaraderie and overall everything they're saying with each other between Kirk, Spock, and Bones is like peak Star Trek, right? And beyond. Like, they just have a really good vibe. And it feels like I've only watched some of TOS. I'm still working on it with Giraffe and Rob. But it does feel like that kind of a vibe, like where they're kind of picking at each other, and it feels, they've been on this deep space mission. It feels like they're family. How do you guys feel about that? Like how they are together? Favorite moments, the dialogue. I mean, we talked about Act 1 where they were drinking. So
yeah, people can bitch as much as they want about these movies, but Kirk, Spock, and Bones, their relationship in all three of these movies is perfect. Like they feel right. They feel like the old scientists. Like those actors are great.
Those old scientists.
Yeah. And again, props to Simon Pegg and oh God, what's that other guy's name? Doug Young for writing the dialogue that seems so right for these characters.
Yeah, I could not get it because like this does feel like this is where the characters should be in TOS, right? Like, sorry, my dog keeps walking back and forth.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
love
getting
it.
really
I
annoying.
assume your dog is tap dancing there.
Tap dancing. It is infuriating.
We get
This is the one
more
disadvantage.
votes every time a dog shows up on screen.
Give me 1 second, guys. Midstream, getting dog in a different room.
Tappa, tappa, tappa.
Oh, I like the dog.
The dog should stay on your lap.
Should we talk about stuff without
We
Julian?
can
Should
keep
talk
talking about
Julian?
this.
Yeah,
this relationship.
well, he's coming back.
Oh, he's already
That was
here.
It's
fast,
cute.
Julian. We were going to talk about you.
It's cute on stream, but it doesn't translate when I have to edit it in the pod. So bye, puppy.
Tappa, tappa, tappa.
No, man, just every dialogue moment. The dialogue when they're on the Franklin, like we just talked about, Bones and Spock sharing all these amazing moments. Scotty with Jayla, man, and even Kirk with Chekhov. It's just it's so good.
Yeah, especially since the last two movies, we were mostly just Kirk and Spock, and sometimes Bones, right?
Yeah.
So having the other characters actually be part of the plot and be a little bit more, even though we don't get as much Uhura or Sulu in this film, we still get.
We didn't get
enough.
Uhura in any of these films, man.
That's true.
Or Sulu. I didn't get enough Sulu since like the first film.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you just mentioned Jayla. So Jayla comes into the film and she's a scavenger, and we find out that, you know, her whole family had been attacked by them, and she's, you know, her father got killed, but she was able to get away, and she takes them to the Franklin, the USS Franklin, which we find out is a very nice. Eric is showing a little ship.
Ooh, I
Is
Little
that the
Franklin.
Franklin?
Yeah, that's the Franklin.
That's pretty cool. So she's living in the ship and kind of fixing it up. It's her house. And that's, you know, we find out that that ship had gone missing like a century earlier. This is when we see that little clip of like the crew.
Oh, so
And-
fleeting too. It's just like we didn't.
I
feel
kind of
anything.
want to see the uniforms more. Like
Yeah.
that's the I'm like, ooh, cosplay. But I like seeing the ship. I didn't mind the ship, like that it seemed a little bit older. It was
Oh,
still
I
kinda
love that.
cool.
I love the aesthetic. Yeah.
And there was like, you know, leather couches. It felt a little
Seat
bit more.
belts.
Seatbelts.
Seat belts. Oh my god, why did we get rid of those? Stupid. But what did you guys think of Jayla?
She was cool. Like I like the actress.
Mhm.
She I guess served a purpose. I wish I knew more about her. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like she seems so interesting, but we don't really get to know much about her or her people. We hear a little bit about her sad story with her parents. Like were they indigenous? I guess they crashed there, right?
Yeah, she
that what-
crashed. Yeah.
So, you know.
I like the look. The look is super cool. I like her whole vibe. I think she does a good job with the character, and it feels like a real person.
Mhm.
I like her whole thing. Like she plays the music. The music thing in this whole movie, like I know we were talking about it before, is a little bit fucking silly in my
It
opinion.
is. It
Like,
100%.
especially at the end when they play that music. I thought it was going to be the rap music again, but then we went to the music from the first movie.
That is rap music.
Boys
Beastie Boys is rap.
sabotage.
That's what I'm saying. But I was like, really, guy? Like you said, they were trying to get that everybody audience and like, oh, I know this song, Beastie Boys.
I felt bad because this movie, I think, was like, because Sophia Botella, I think is how you say
Yes.
the actress's
Yep.
name. So this movie, I think the Kingsman movie and everything, she was basically set to blow up, and then she was in the Tom Cruise Mummy movie, and
Yeah.
Oh,
that
man.
pretty much and I dug the character, and I honestly felt that she really fit with this group of Star Trek characters, which kind of surprised me because it almost seems sacrilegious to introduce, kind of like Futurama introducing Welshie into the OG like Star Trek crew and stuff like that. But she legitimately fit, and that's what's kind of surprised me was how well she fit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they do this fourth movie, I don't think it's going to be a Kelvin-verse film.
No,
But
do.
I think
I do.
if it is, I think that character should be with them because
I hope
she did
so.
vibe really well with them. And why
Also,
if
Carol
you-
Marcus would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No more underwear though. Like that's
Yeah.
oh god. But I think if you have someone and you find that they have a good vibe, like use that. Like I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They, you know, these guys were in a movie and they sat in a car and they had good chemistry and they're like, let's make a
Let's
whole
do a
fucking
series.
show about that.
Yeah.
Which I'm all about. That's like you see that and do something with it. So please bring her back, Star Trek.
Lexi on Twitch is quoting Scotty here, and I'll try and do my best, Scotty, who says, "You're part of a crew now, lassie," and it's so true, right? Because she does fit in so well, like all you guys just said. I feel like it shouldn't have worked,
Mhm.
but it
But it
did
did.
because like 9 times out of 10 when they like they cast someone big or getting big in one of these roles, it works, but it never quite feels
I think
Natural.
I think Simon Pegg wrote the part for her. Like he
she
wrote
had
it.
to, right?
He wrote it
Yeah.
like her speech patterns based on her French accent.
Yeah. Oh, Montgomery Scotty.
And they had such a good vibe too,
James, yeah.
Scotty and
You're
her,
free
and
now,
it
James T.
felt Nice. Like
Yeah.
I felt like it gave Scotty someone to talk to and not just say like hysterical things
Yeah.
at.
Mhm.
But so we have Scotty reunited with Kirk, Chekhov, McCoy, and Spock, the whole team except for her and you know everybody else that we care about, who are barely in this movie. Krall coerces the Enterprise crew to hand over the Abernath, which is that thing. I
That makes
still think that's a
people
little
fade into dust.
The MacGuffin.
Yeah, and the
The
yeah,
MacGuffin.
it is a little silly. Then uses it to complete the ancient bioweapon. Did we ever
Ancient
really like? Did they talked about it for a minute? But like, how did he know about this? He had the other piece or something.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with Krall and his whole backstory. This is the part of the movie that just doesn't work, right? Like this is the not good part of this otherwise very good movie.
Yeah.
But Krall not having a great backstory and the whole thing behind this bioweapon not having a good story, you get away with it because of all of the rest of the great beats of this film, where you have Khan and John Harrison in Into Darkness, but it's dominated so much that it just doesn't work in Into Darkness and kind of kills that movie. Where this, it gets away with it because you have all of these great character moments and great acting and great visual effects and a movie that for the most part feels like Star Trek.
I think Krall had a good backstory. It's just that we don't know much about it, right? Like you hear these words like you hear these things like Mako and how they got moved, but no one knows what Mako is because no one watched Enterprise. So like
I didn't know what it was. I was like, what
like,
the
so
it's been a long road. That's all we know.
It has been a long road. Damn it!
Getting from there to here.
So just as a small breakdown, Mako and the Federation were separate before they made the full Federation. Like Starfleet was separate from Mako. Mako was sort of like this military organization on Earth, and they sort of were more technologically advanced, and that's where we see Section 31 show up in original Enterprise. And then when the Federation was built with the original 4, they just merged it into them, and just that's where they they made these captains out of these soldiers. And it would have been cool to hear like his backstory and like why he wanted to be a soldier or keep being a soldier, but it's like too much to explain in a movie. But
I don't know. I think there was time in this movie. There was a lot of action. I'm telling you, 2 or 3 action scenes could have gone.
Yeah, that little video that we had a fleeting glimpse of.
I wish there was a whole back scene. Yeah,
we could have.
What were you gonna say?
We could have seen that.
Krall was such a weak villain for me because basically he's upset that the Federation abandoned them, but that would be like a shipwrecked U.S. sailor gets stranded on a Pacific island in World War II and says, you know what? I'm going to come back and blow up the entire United States now because they didn't come right. Like, dude, you're in a nebula where no communication can reach through and everything like that. Like, maybe you should have tried to escape more rather than enact the whole, like, let's go genocide.
Well, they fixed the Franklin pretty fast, didn't they?
Yeah, they really did.
She'd been working on it for a minute.
But
that's
still, they're Starfleet officers.
I agree.
Mag brought up a great point that why didn't they just from the beginning make Krall a rogue Starfleet captain, which at the end of the day is exactly what he was, but they had to put all this fucking prosthetic on him and give this the story that made no sense.
It was too much.
Yeah.
Well, and also like there's this whole idea that this guy was a hero. To me, like I made this comparison not too long ago. This guy's John Walker from fucking Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He's a guy who likes to fight. He likes to hurt people. He likes
because he was a Marine.
He not because you're a Marine. They're a good.
No, but they make it known that that's what his character was, right? Like
but
he was a Marine who fought in a war, and then the Federation were like, "War's over, bye, have a starship, peace out."
But he likes the war, like he wants, and that's why he's angry at them. He's just angry. He's a guy who likes to be angry, and that's his excuse, right? Like it's all bullshit.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's how I feel about that.
How fortunate that the second half of this bioweapon piece he needed ended up in the very race that Kirk happened to bump into before them, even though it got thrown into space.
And how did they know that they had it? Like, I thought there was no communications through the nebula.
That is true. Well, actually, it could have been. Maybe Spy Lady could have somehow sent something because it got cataloged in the Federation database.
Hand waving.
Yeah,
this is like,
a wizard did it. How about that?
You guys know
that wizard came from the moon.
The Force Awakens, when the new Death Star planet blows up, like all of the places, and no one gives a shit or talks about that because we like the rest of the movie. That's what this is like. Because it's like, oh yeah, who cares? Like I enjoyed the rest of it, but that was stupid. But I enjoyed the rest of it. Like,
there's an awesome comment down here from Lexi on Twitch. With Krall, I feel like they're attempting a commentary on colonialism. Starfleet is often symbolic for the U.S., and Edison represents that past and arguably current mentality. He steals people's resources and appropriates their cultures, literally wearing their skin, because he believes his cause is inherently superior and more righteous. Oop, it moved. While Kirk represents a more progressive agenda that has no place for that old rhetoric.
Yeah.
That's
a good point.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's well good.
Action sequences. Did you guys like all of the stuff with the motorcycle, which I thought was like a little bit drama?
It was too much.
Yeah, it was like, come on, guys. Especially when he saw the motorcycle, I was like, here we fucking go.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was fine. It was a movie action sequence. I was ready to move on to.
You could have put some
the
plot in
climax.
there
It's-
about Idris Elba instead of doing a dumb motorcycle.
That's what you
sequence,
get when you
but-
get Justin Lin to direct a Star Trek.
I
movie.
like Justin Lin.
Fast and the Furious director.
I do too. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
In the chat, back to them figuring this out. Spotted Giraffe says that her explains this, that he reads the logs. Again, I asked, how did he get these logs if no
Exactly.
communications
That-
can
yeah,
go through
They explain
the
it, but
nebula?
they're forgetting the plot that they put into the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
guys, Act 3.
Act
Oh,
three.
wait. Did we talk about the motorcycle awesomeness?
We just did. I said it was dumb.
I
tried.
meant other than that.
I like
mean-
the sticky wall shit that like catches people. I
Yeah.
thought that was like a cool, weird tech thing, but like the motorcycle, I don't know.
I liked watching Jayla fight the right hand man, and they had history, but you don't really get their history because
It
So
was
the
such
question-
that
The
fight.
the question you must ask yourselves is: the USS Franklin, the first ship that can go warp 4, for some reason they're like, you know what? Let's put a dirt bike on this thing,
Yeah.
just in case.
You know what? They
just
put
in case Idris Elba wants to pull some sick jumps.
they put whales on a ship. They're gonna put a motorcycle on it.
But at least there was a reason for that. Like, why? Okay,
there was
you're
a
going-
reason for this, so Jim Kirk could ride it.
But like, whose motorcycle is that? And like, who got
That's
to
the-
like
the-
bring
That's the
that
captain's
shit?
motorcycle.
Yeah, that's why Idris Elba was
If it
so
had-
angry.
If it had just been some science fiction vehicle that Kirk was riding, I would have been like, all right, you know what? It kind of makes some
Like a
sort of
dune buggy?
sense.
What about the guys? What about the Mako from Mass Effect?
Oh my god! But like
oh,
now I'm
not the
like, can a crew member just bring fucking anything on the ship, like, or replicate it or
It was a
whatever?
different time, man.
Just imagine,
was.
just imagine like
Hey.
somebody, just imagine one of the Star Trek captains walking down, and a guy rides by on a dirt bike in the hallway.
I
would love that.
Something like, hey,
That'd be
Captain, zoom.
Someone's on a Segway just going down the halls.
My only other issue with this, and Rob brought it up, the CGI green screen with the motorcycle was so bad. They blew their VFX load so much on the Enterprise
Everything?
shots and Yorktown that by the time they got around to the VFX of the motorcycle, I mean, it was a blatant green screen, and it was a really bad model of the motorcycle with Jayla and Kirk, or just Kirk on it. It was not great.
And then when he like jumps this, it felt like watching the first or both of the Fantastic Four movies. You're just like, what is happening? Like he flies off of it and catches her.
Yeah.
Like that's so stupid.
There's one more thing. That one alien. I love the design of that alien that had that face hugger
Yeah.
on the back.
Yeah.
Like
People
I
were
thought that
saying
so
it was
cool.
so weird on Discord
And
last
they
night, but I
killed
love
her.
her.
Fucking for
I
no
know.
reason.
I
Like an interesting character. I was like, oh, let's learn more about her. Nope. Shh, dead.
Yeah,
The makeup budget can only go so far.
I would let those spider things hug my face.
Wow.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Can hug whatever it
That's
wants.
the weirdest thing you've ever said.
Is it?
Oh, I can get weirder. Let's move on to Act 3. Is everybody good with the action sequence?
Yep.
Yes, because this is the better action sequence in the movie, even though it's not technically action. The Enterprise survivors power up the USS Franklin, and then they launch her. Word launch.
I'm sorry, Julian, real quick. I know I said it when we were watching this, but they made a point to say like, oh, the Franklin was built in space and wasn't designed to take off from atmosphere. This thing crashes through goddamn mountains.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to affect it whatsoever.
Like
Not
It's like-
whatsoever.
indestructible.
it reminded me of like the quote from Futurama when he's like, how deep can we dive in the ship, Professor? I don't know, between 1 atmosphere and 0. It's a spaceship.
Agreed, but it was still really cool. Once they do get the Franklin up there, the crew theorize that the swarm system may be vulnerable to high frequencies such as VHF or radio. They jam and destroy the swarm by broadcasting the song
So
"It's a
dumb.
Sabotage"
I love
by
that.
the Beastie
I
Boys.
was doing my workout and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Before we get into the Beastie Boys, this whole sequence powering up the Franklin and getting her back up into space, yeah, it obviously takes some suspension of disbelief, right? But a really fun sequence, right? Because Sulu's also like super cocky.
Love that.
I love Sulu. They did
I
not
love
use him
Sulu.
enough. Like John Cho is perfect in that role, and he's not used in it.
Solo film as Captain Sulu.
Excelsior, yes.
Yes, I want it. The Excelsior film. That's what they should do. And then they should have Jayla be like on the ship with him.
Can't they just have two ships going on a mission together?
Totally.
That's
Why
what I
not?
want. Just give me two crews.
BFFs.
God damn.
I mean, I know we're kind of delving into. I would actually be fine with Jayla replacing Chekhov because obviously Anton Yelton's tragic death.
Yeah.
Give him his
That
own
would-
ship as well. Like
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
They did in Discovery, the tribute in Discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't talk about it at all, but that was, I mean, like, talk about a tragic, fucking senseless, terrible death of
Yeah.
a very young person.
Yeah,
Like,
it sucks.
you know, it's mostly, I don't know. That was a shocking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His death and Heath Ledger's death were like the two kicks to the
yeah,
gut.
yeah. It was no.
Oh.
It's so sad. It's sad to this day.
Back to the Beastie Boys sequence. Like
Yes.
I saw this in IMAX and it was so fucking cool. Like, cause this was the one where like this was one of the sequences where it was like the full screen was used, and you're just like, yeah, look how bright everything is and everything's blowing up. Sure, last movie they said you could teleport like torpedoes onto ships, but you know they didn't want to do that in this movie. But you know, Beastie Boys, big wave, and they're like surfing everything. Like Matt was saying, they were definitely surfing.
it was a surf.
They were, like it was
That's
just
exactly
you,
what
you
it
could see
was.
the wake and everything. Oh my god,
It
it was
even,
so
did
fun.
it even did the tunnel that
Yeah.
like some waves do at one
It
point.
was so funny.
What if?
I love it.
What if instead of sabotage they used everybody was surfing,
Sick.
my
surfing
God.
USA,
Or the Hawaii 5-0.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wait. I think we should, that should be like a Twitter or Twitch question. It's like, what song would you play during that sequence?
That could be a strange new
Sabotage.
loop.
It's Sabotage.
by
You
the
know,
Beastie Boys.
This song and this movie and the original movie, and then they did it in the trailer as well. They used Sabotage through it.
They did, which was a bad trailer.
Although it had the cool like logo, and then I based it like our thing on that logo. Like our intro is that Beyond trailer.
Sidebar real quick, can I say I love how they do the warp effects in these movies with the ship, like how everything's like all distorted behind it. I always love that effect. It looks so cool.
It was a really cool warp effect, and they kind of started mimicking it a bit in Discovery, if I'm not mistaken. Anybody else on the Beastie Boys and the use of sabotage here?
Silly.
Good. Silly but fun, right? So Edge Nerd said I saw an IMAX too. It's so beautiful. Yeah, the second trailer was really good. I didn't like the Beastie Boys trailer. Moving on, Krall is chased by the Franklin through Yorktown, which was a really cool sequence. Uhura, Kirk, and Scotty discover from the Franklin's log, here it is, that Krall is actually Captain Balthazar Edison, who was the commander of the Franklin. Wish we had gotten that like 50 minutes earlier in the film.
Dude, it's so late. It's like there's 20 minutes left in the movie. I don't
Literally
give a shit
20,
about
like
this
it was
guy anymore.
literally 20 minutes left of the
I think I
movie.
texted you while I was watching it, and I'm just like, who are these people? Like, what? I don't give a shit.
It's weird because the last two movies, like with Harrison and and
You mean
and Eric Bana, like we both sort of cared about the characters. Like we knew what they were doing. Like
Yeah.
Khan was for his family, and Bana was because he saw his planet explode. Like we felt their pain, I guess, already early. And
Sorry,
then
I gotta read this real quick. Rob wrote Balthazar, a perfectly normal and not at all. I'm sorry, what name?
So I should take that off the baby list. Oh damn.
I wonder what his friends would call him. Like they just call him Balthazar every
Batty?
time, or
I would have called him Bobby.
yo, what up,
Eric,
B?
do you have any baby names on the list that are Star Trek related?
Jim.
No, but there might be some
Tiberius.
Expanse names.
Oh God.
Battlestar?
Continuing on
Comic book?
Kara Thrace. Kara. A pre-Federation
I can't
human
have Kara.
soldier, Edison rejected the Federation's principles of unity and cooperation with former enemies like, from Enterprise, the Xindi and the Romulans, because he fought both in the Xindi War and the Romulan Federation War. So he's been there and done that. When he and his crew were stranded on Altamid, by a wormhole. And this is the other thing, right? Like, there's no fucking way the Federation could have known. Like, your whole thing is, I have no sympathy for you. Like, the blame is so misplaced. The survivors use the extinct natives. Again, I wish I had more on them. Their technology to prolong their lives, which is really bad plot armor, by the way.
And hand wavy.
And yeah, what technology? Like they were in huts.
It was like electricity. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, and he didn't have a device or anything when he sucked the life out of people. He just like touched
he
them.
just touched them.
He's
That
a
was
space
suit.
vampire. He's a space vampire.
It was weird. So yeah, they used that and then they repurposed it to because they were mining drones and they made a swarm to basically attack the Enterprise. And then because he thought the Federation abandoned him, Edison planned to destroy said Federation and I guess start a war because the dude needs a war to fight. I think we already know how we all feel, right? About Krall's backstory. It's not very good, even though it's kind of neat that it has this massive connection to the Enterprise series. And I think Rob keeps saying it, that he's pretty upset that Enterprise is the only series that survived the Kelvin-verse timeline shift. Go back. You look like you're ready to say something.
No, so here's a question. If they had done this movie and he wasn't Krall, he was Idris Elba, human-looking dude the entire time, and like everybody knows who he is as soon as he appears on screen, would that have made him more interesting?
100%. Yes.
100%.
Yeah, because imagine
and
if
he has a device that.
Yeah, like imagine he like appears on the Enterprise in that opening attack scene. People are like, "Holy crap, that's
Captain
Captain Edison." Like, that would have made him far more like to make him appear as some kind of alien at first. And once again, Idris Elba is a fantastic actor. Why are you hiding him behind all these prosthetics and shit and not letting him act? It kills me.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and it's also okay. So the swarm thing and these mining robots, so they crashed. And only a couple of them are left alive, and now they're these like succubus things. So how long did it take them to get this swarm thing going? Like, could they not have like gotten a couple of these ships going and like left?
Why didn't they just go to the Yorktown
movie and maybe we knew?
Like,
Yeah.
Well, because the Yorktown had to have taken
wasn't
years
built
to
yet.
build.
Yeah, the Yorktown wasn't built yet.
but
Yeah,
it's
but I
probably
mean,
been
they
there for a
could've-
number of years. Like they're doing it at
Yeah.
this exact moment.
Like millions of people didn't just suddenly appear on it and all that.
True.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It just there's a lot there that's like, yeah, whatever. But again, like you say, I don't care enough about it, and I care enough about the characters that we like. And they're having fun, sort of. And so it kind of the movie still works, right? Like even though this whole thing doesn't work, you're like, who cares?
But to go off what you're saying, Matt, like Rob says he totally agrees. Like maybe give him a scary helmet or something at the start, right? You know, not this fake up makeup, and then in any good movie, give him the dramatic removal of the helmet moment, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, it's Captain Balthazar Edison. He's gonna kick your ass.
They could have done that at the
Idris
beginning.
Elba.
Like maybe you could, like instead of naming the station Yorktown, it could have had, first of all, give him a less silly name, but name the station after him. Be like, hey, this guy is awesome.
I think that'd be a little extra.
A little bit, but you know what? It would fit in the Star Trek
I would take it.
universe.
Well, he had his soldiers that had cool looking like helmets, right? Like Anthem
the
helmets.
drones. Yeah,
and
they
then
were Anthem helmets.
he could have taken it off right then. Like, oh god, that would have been cool.
So here's a question for you guys then. If you were to rank the 3 villains in these movies, what order would you put them in from best to worst?
There were 3 villains in this movie?
No, on the 3 Star
in
Trek
the 3
movies.
Kelvin films.
Eric
the three
Bana's
Kelvin
at the
movies.
top, way at the top, like way at the top.
The first movie was the best one. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that.
I'm gonna make a very unpopular opinion because I'm just always gonna remember Benedict Cumberbatch not as Khan, but as John Harrison, the terrorist. And I'm gonna just believe that's the truth. And for that reason, I like him the best because he just acted so well. Is the whole Khan thing stupid? Yes, but you can't take away Benedict Cumberbatch's acting skills. So I think he's the best, then Eric Bana, then Krall.
But Eric Bana saw it. You know he saw it. Don't tell him he didn't.
I
That's
saw
right.
it happen.
Yeah, no, he
Don't
was.
tell
He
me
was
it didn't
100%.
happen.
Eric
We need-
Bana's death
we need
scene in the
fog.
first movie still gets me with like how well acted in the music and
So
all that
good.
is.
It's so good.
Also, Bad Merle was not bad. I like RoboCop as a bad guy.
Hey.
He was
the
all right.
USS Murder Prize and all that.
Oh, RoboCop.
We're not going to get to talk about it much, but I will say, out of the 3 films as well, this is my favorite score that Michael Giacchino did for the Star Trek films. Moving on to the final part of the battle, Kirk pursues Edison in Yorktown's ventilation system, where Edison activates the bio weapon. Activate the laser. Before it can spread, Kirk ejects it and Edison into space, where the weapon disintegrates Edison. Using an alien ship they commandeered, Spock and McCoy save Kirk moments before he is also blown into space, because that's what happens in these movies.
What? Why didn't they?
Too many action sequences.
Why didn't they
Where was all the
teleport him out?
security on the station as well?
Yeah,
Whoa,
no one
whoa.
doing shit.
Why didn't they just teleport him?
Why didn't
Was-
they beam him out? Yeah. Because
And
There was
and, like,
interference somewhere. Don't worry about it.
there's that one area to enter the ventilation system.
Yeah.
One area.
It just felt like after they put the ship up and it crashed into it, I was like, okay, that's the end of the movie. But it's like there are two. I normally would never say this. There's too many fucking action sequences in this movie. Like
Sorry.
you're losing the plot that we want isn't there because they were like, no, let's do one more thing and have them flying around and character
this
development.
is not, to be fair, and sorry, Matt, I know you have something to say. This is not Justin Lin's fault. It's not Simon Pegg's fault. It's not the writer's fault. This was Paramount throwing away the original script of this film, saying that it was too Star Trek-y. And then
How
really?
dare your Star Trek movie be too
so
Star Trek?
fans were really pissed off upon hearing this. So Paramount had to extend an olive branch real quick, which is actually one of the reasons why Simon Pegg co-wrote the script. So
I'd like to read the original one because I just
it was a completely, to be fair, it was not this movie. It was a completely different movie.
Mhm.
There were about 3 different versions of this movie that came out. We're going to talk about that in fun facts.
You could even hear that about the last film too. Like they had so many different
Yeah.
Well,
iterations.
they did the same. They did the same thing in Into Darkness. You had almost the ending with the Vengeance crashing into Starfleet, and then we're just gonna follow it up and just have a chase scene with Khan and Kirk and just having a great old time.
I
And
will
They almost did the exact same thing here.
The Franklin coming out of the water was awesome. I thought that
that
looked
should have
really
been
cool.
it, man. That was,
was
so
awesome.
cool. And then they're like, no, one more bullshit thing.
But the water, it just stayed there. It didn't come out to where the space dock was.
Right.
I'm very confused by that.
Science.
Science magic.
this.
Don't worry about it.
So the whole thing's over. Edison, and they close the files. Commodore Paris, you see their actual faces flash off and on the screen. So bye Edison, bye Franklin crew. Commodore Paris then offers the promotion of Vice Admiral to Kirk, but he decides to remain on his position as a captain because he's James T. fucking Kirk, and that's what you do. Spock chooses also to remain in Starfleet and renews his relationship with Nyota Uhura because we love her. On Kirk's recommendation, Jayla is accepted into Starfleet Academy. Hopefully we get that short trek or something later down the road. And then as the crew celebrates Kirk's birthday, they watch the construction of their new ship, the USS Enterprise.
And we get to see Kevin.
And we get to see Kevin with no pants as they resume their mission. This epilogue of the film of them having the celebration is important, and Spock's little scene as well, just for a lot of reasons. We talked about it at the top of the show. We'll talk about it as we wrap up Act 3. The tributes to both Leonard Nimoy and Anton Yelchin. Did Justin Lin and the writers handle both these tributes? Well, I know we kind of talked about Spock's already, but that little moment with Anton at the end.
I mean, they handled it about as well as they could.
Yeah.
Because Anton's death was completely unexpected, out of left field. Nimoy's death, at least they had about a year to prepare for that and how they were going to put that in the movie. Anton Yelchin was
2 months or something,
2 or 3 months before this movie came out.
Yep. Yeah. It was so sad. And when Fur Anton comes up on the screen, that gets me.
Yeah.
I waited for that because I didn't,
Yeah.
like I said, haven't watched it since it came out, and I thought, I was like, they're gonna put something up there, and I just wanted to see what it was. And I, sometimes I think less is more.
Agreed. Yep. I think we already know how we all feel on that really bad Enterprise A. That thing
Yeah, it was ugly.
Ugh. I mean, they didn't need to show the Enterprise at the end of the movie. They really, really didn't.
One
They
more
just-
VFX. One more VFX.
They just want, like, I would have loved that they were just showing them build it, and then you just see
Yes.
Enterprise A, and then that's it. Like, they
That's
didn't
it.
have to show the whole ship. Like,
No.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Fan edit. Someone do it. Just the Enterprise A and then cut credits. Boom. Done.
it didn't look different enough.
Yeah. That does it for the acts of the film. Let's get into.
Ooh, wait, one more thing.
Not allowed.
One
Sorry.
more thing. When
No.
when Bones looks at Spock and Uhura at the end, when she's wearing the necklace,
Oh, the look.
like just perfect, just perfect. And Spock's
That
so
whole-
embarrassed.
That whole moment, like you put a tracking device on your
That
girl.
was funny.
Oh,
He's like,
no.
that wasn't the intention, but
Let's get into fun facts about Star Trek Beyond. And Matt, as our guest, would you like to take the top?
Sure. William Shatner once again was contacted about a possible role in the film. Along with Shatner, Leonard Nimoy had been rumored to appear in a scene with Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto as the future alternate reality versions of the characters. In the wake of Nimoy's death on 27 February 2015, Simon Pegg mentioned there would be some tribute to the late actor in the final film.
Mm-hmm. That's
I mean, they tried to get Shatner, I think, in every single one of these, and he was actually technically in the movie in the little photo they show from Star Trek
Mhm.
5. So, I mean, he did make it in. Maybe not in a
I'm-
speaking role.
I
William
think that
Shatner.
the cameo in the first movie made sense, worked with the story, was really good. After that, like, stop it. It's like seeing Wolverine in every goddamn X movie. You know, that he doesn't need, that he's not actually in. It takes me out of the movie.
He needs to be
So
in
I
every
thought
single one. Hugh Jackman.
Just,
All
He does, I agree.
just the picture I thought was really nice.
Like-
and like also, if you're someone like, you know, Spock of that universe, that's fucking weird, man.
Yeah, I didn't need Shatner in this movie. The rumor for the 2009 one where he was supposed to have a little sequence with Leonard Nimoy, like I would have way preferred that. Like,
Yeah, I like the scene that I read about that he was going to be in. It was going to be like
Happy
an audio
birthday?
recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that, but it never happened.
What does God need with a cameo?
That's the question.
well, he has to pay for a boat.
Aaron, go ahead and take the next one.
Bruce Greenwood expressed hope that Christopher Pike could return, which he referred to as a deep, deep wish to come back. Although Pike dies in Star Trek Into Darkness, Greenwood suspected how do you say his last name?
Noonien Singh.
Thank you. Revitalizing. See, I'm not a Khan fan, and I know that's fucking terrible, but whatever. He said that they could use his blood and bring him back to life, which is a little like, but
Well,
like not the craziest
it
Star
makes
Trek shit I've
sense.
ever heard.
They
brought
could've-
Kirk back to life.
They could have healed
Yeah, but
Spock
Pike
with
had
it
been
earlier
dead
too.
For a minute.
Yeah,
They
but then I pictured them just putting Khan and just taking his blood to revive everybody, that whoever dies. In the
Maybe they
Star Trek
synthesized it.
Wait, look, is that Admiral Archer's prize beagle?
Yes. Porthos.
Porthos. Eric, the next one, please.
J.J. Abrams, who directed Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness, chose to direct The Force Awakens and accordingly only produced this film. Abrams noted, having directed pilots and movies and then having seen subsequent directors work on those shows or do their own versions of those films, time and time again, I've seen it done better.
Yeah, then why'd you direct Rise of Skywalker, you dipshit?
It's
You guys,
because
I'm over J.J. Abrams, to be
Me
honest.
too,
Like,
man.
you know those
too.
He had a
those
moment.
giant dump trucks of money were just like, I guess I can do this.
Those
I mean,
dump
I
trucks of
wouldn't turn
money
that
aren't going
down.
to just go to anybody else's house.
All right.
Okay?
They have your name written on them, JJ. They're right here.
Have
But
you
I am
watched?
over
Oh
him.
my god.
Oh,
so over.
oh, Lexi, I know. I feel you. I feel you.
What's you?
Oh, preach, Julian. Yeah, I could go on for 2 hours.
The
about
making
Rise
of
Skywalker.
the Rise of Skywalker documentary made me so angry
I didn't
at J.J.
watch it.
Abrams.
I didn't watch it. I refuse to watch
We'll
it.
talk about it after.
Julian and I have argued talked about the movie so much.
Oh
Sorry.
my
You
god.
did. I'll take the next one. Star Trek Beyond went through multiple pitches and writing teams, like I mentioned earlier, from Zach Stenson, Ashley Edward Miller to J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay. Ultimately, Simon Pegg and Doug Jung would take over script writing duties. Doug Jung also played. I think I actually have this as a fun fact, so if I do, we just won't read it. Doug Jung also played Sulu's husband in this movie.
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing about this fun fact is that J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay had the finished script for the original version of this film that was going to come out with the other fun fact that we're going to get to, but ultimately with the next fun fact that Matt can read happening, that didn't end up going through.
All right. Originally set to direct Roberto Orci. Is that how you say his last name?
Yeah, I think it's
I thought it was
either
Orci.
Orsai I'm wrong.
I
We're
don't
all
know.
wrong.
Well, I
All
don't
right,
know.
Roberto, last name I can't read. Step down with Paramount signing Justin Lin to take the helm.
Yeah, so when Justin Lin took over, that's when Peg and when Jung took over.
I like Justin Lin. He
Mhm.
all his interviews about how he used to watch Trek as a kid were
Yeah.
always so awesome. Like I like
Yep.
listening to him.
Aaron,
So the character of Jayla was inspired by Jennifer Lawrence's portrayal of Ree in the 210. I was gonna say 210.
210.
You know the 210 movie, the 2010 film Winter's Bone, which I have not seen.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Peg and Jung referred to her by Lawrence's nickname Jayla, and eventually inspired the name Jayla, which
the
is
movie,
pretty funny.
the
to me.
movie that she won an Academy Award for, no one has seen. I haven't seen it either.
I've seen
I
it.
think that happens a
I've
lot.
not seen Winter's Bone. I want to see Winter's Bone.
I don't see
Thought
the
she won for Silver
parallels.
Linings Playbook.
She did as
No, you're
she
right.
got-
I'm wrong. You're right. She won for Silver Linings.
She was
Playbook, but not
nominated for
She was
Winter's Bone.
nominated for Winter's Bone.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Yeah.
see the connection between these two characters. Like honestly,
It's a little weird.
I don't know.
I
Yes,
think it's more
Rob.
Katniss vibe, actually.
Part of the reason that Roberto Orsay stepped down was because, yes, Rob, he is a 9/11 truther lunatic.
Oh, I'm gonna read
yeah.
the next one.
Do it.
The Franklin's registry number, NX326, is a reference to Leonard Nimoy's birthday, March 26th. The ship is named after director Justin Lin's father, Frank Lin.
Oh, cool. I like that.
Mm-hmm. The next one, Commodore Paris could possibly be a distant relative to Admiral Owen Paris and his son, Lieutenant Tom Paris from Star Trek Voyager. Simon Pegg later confirmed that Commodore Paris was a nod to Tom Paris from Voyager and stated that the Commodore probably could have been his grandmother.
Paris's
love
voice
this
needed to be
fun fact.
huskier.
Yeah.
I thought that was super cool because, that's really established for him that his whole family has like a big legacy in
Huge
Star Trek.
Starfleet lineage, right?
You know
Yeah, I
what we
like that.
needed? We needed an Admiral Kim, so that at least
Yes!
one Kim gets,
Someone in the family gets promoted high.
promoted
up, right?
somewhere. God
Yeah.
damn it!
That leaves you, Matt, with our last fun fact of the evening.
Sure. This is the first on-screen use of saucer separation since Star Trek Generations, and the first on-screen use by a ship other than the Enterprise D.
That was cool.
It was cool. Even though I think they even said like all of these ships dating back to the TOS Enterprise were able to separate their saucers. We just didn't see it until, the Enterprise D. So let's give this movie and Twitch, join us in doing so as well, our final rating out of 10 drone ships. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I will give it an 8 out of 10. Like, I liked it. There were some stupid things, but all in all, it was a fun movie, and I don't fault it for that.
I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 because like you said, it was a fun movie. I think that it was, like Matt said, it has a veneer of we want everybody to watch this, so it lacks a little bit of like the depth and good storytelling. I do think it is fucking forgettable, but it's also a fun movie to watch. Like, I would watch this movie again, and I would probably, in 2 years' time, be like, wait, what happened? What happened? Which makes it like, oh, okay, at least I, something to watch.
Before I let Matt go, Rob brought up a good point about saucer separation. I guess the Prometheus separation doesn't count from Voyager. It's a little bit different, right? Because the entire ship converts into 3 different like attack vectors. So it's not quite a saucer separation if you want to get technical. I don't know. It's a really cool effect though. Matt, your rating.
I'm also going to go 7 out of 10. It's a weak villain, but I still kind of enjoyed the ride, Beastie Boys and all. And as much as
they didn't do any
surfing a
they didn't do any
wave of-
sabotage to the movie.
No, it did not.
Hit that
one's for
button.
Brittany. Yeah.
Get off my bridge.
I'll see myself out. Oh, what were you saying about giant surfing waves?
Despite the dirt bike on the starship and a starship surfing a wave of enemy probe droids or whatever, I still enjoyed the movie for what it was. I understand why they did what they did for it.
I'm gonna be the high rating this time. I feel like I'm not usually. I could be wrong about that, but I'm gonna give this an 8.5 out of 10. And that was probably from maybe a 7 or a 7.5 from the last time I watched it. This actually might be my favorite of the 3 films after watching it again. There's so much I love about the first one, but there's a lot that I love after watching this again last night about this film. It was good to get a refresh. So 8.5 out of 10 over on Twitch. Engineer 21 gives it a 9 out of 10. Did need some more time on the other bridge crew members. Rob, a 7.5 out of 10. It's fun. I enjoyed it. Not as good as 2009, but miles better than Into Darkness.
He's
Lexi
right.
Yes, he is right. 8 out of 10 for Lexi. Solid film, personal fave of the trilogy. Spotted Giraffe, 8 out of 10. Way better women characters than the two others. Nobody in underwear. Yay.
Nobody took their stupid pants off.
That stupid
unnecessarily.
sequence. Good
Yep.
lord.
Jayla is dope. It's witty, fun, and sexy. Minus for not enough Elba and not enough Saldana.
Jayla is dope.
Agreed.
She is.
Agreed completely. It is time to move on to the subspace poll and mailbag.
Hailing frequencies are open.
Oh yeah, that one's the not loud one.
No. And we asked our good friends and followers, listeners on Twitter, what are your thoughts on Star Trek Beyond? Best of the Kelvin-verse? In the middle, 50% of you said above and beyond. 33% said good. 15% said so, and only 2% said it really crawled.
Damn straight.
So people like this movie a lot. Let's get into the mailbag portion. I'm just gonna leave this open. Does anybody want to take the first mailbag?
I'll do it. Lexi
Okay.
wrote, Beyond is my personal favorite of the trilogy. Stronger writing, the actors feel in their prime in their roles, great visuals and interesting ideas, and the perfect blend of the modern spectacle, but with the more classic feel of the old. Chris Pine in this may genuinely be my favorite version of Kirk ever. He is perfect. Yorktown is a fantastic and unique new setting. The characters actually feel like a united team, and none feel underserved or abused like in Into Darkness. Sorry. Thematically, it's quite rich too, as an anniversary piece and in the wake of real life loss. Questioning one's place in things, and if you have it in you still to keep carrying on. The parallel of both Kirk and the Krall Edison showing that we can all feel like we lose our way in life, but we can also find ourselves again in the people and the things we love and hold on to.
That's nice.
Lexi's always
That was
got
very
the best
good.
mailbags.
I know, right?
They're so good. They're so good.
I'll read giraffes and just imagine me with a really cool French accent because I
Well,
cannot do
you
one.
should read the Twitch thing first.
The Twitch thing?
I'll read
What
what
did you
Giraffe.
say?
She wrote, OMG, please tell me you are not reading the thirst conversation. Ah.
To which I responded, "We are Giraffe."
Oh, yeah.
We are. To which she replied, "I demand that Lexi and Britt stand that trial at my side." So,
You guys, I just learned like last week or maybe the week before what like the thirst tweet or what's it called?
Thirst trap?
it's a thirst trap.
Thirst trap. I learned what a thirst trap was.
Like Matt's got the thirst for Lady Dimascari or whatever her name is. from
Dimitrescu,
Res-
how dare you butcher her name?
So we're all evolving here. Spotted Giraffe wrote, "My sexual orientation is the cast of Star Trek Beyond. Pine, hot. Pinto, hot. Saldana, hot. Urban, hot. Idris Elba, yes, daddy, hot. Sophia Butella, is that how you say her last
Yep.
name?
Yeah.
Praise, hot. And it's hilarious and witty and suspenseful thanks to Simon Pegg's script. That guy knows how to write dialogue. Praise. Fun fact to sound international. Star Trek Beyond is the Star Trek Sans Limite in France. Star Trek Beyond is Star Trek Sans Limite in France.
French.
French, not Canadian French.
But this is Canadian French.
But
Odila.
Star Trek, yeah, what is it? Doula in Quebec?
Quebecois.
Oh my God, we should let the Canadian say this.
Beyond. Because
You
they
wanted to read this one.
I didn't know there was French in it, because they obviously know better English. Oh, and yes, I like the movie, duh. I'm sorry, Giraffe, I did not do a good job. I got the thirst part, though.
Yeah. We like your thirst, Giraffe. It's good thirst. Matt, why don't you take our very short but last
I mean,
Last
this one kind
mailbag.
of fits
Short
with
but
what I
sweet.
said.
I like
it
short
does.
but
It
sweet.
does.
SMK wrote motorcycles in space. Why?
And that is the
Agree.
question. And that is the question.
To seek out new life and sick jumps, bro.
It's the eventual crossover between Star Trek and the Fast and Furious movie that's going to go into space. Just saying.
That's where
Drifting
the Fast and the Furious
spaceships?
crew are going to end up. Don't worry about
that
that.
is-
They are going to be in space in the next
They
one.
are. Yeah, they are. Yeah. Guys, that's gonna do it for this episode. Before we go, Matt, tell us where we could find you, what you're up to, what's going on over at Everything Is Permitted.
So I am part of the trio that does Everything Is Permitted, where we discuss pretty much almost everything besides Star Trek. We do touch into Star Trek
Every now and then.
We do touch into Star Trek, but that's where Brittany, Julian, and myself kind of began doing podcasting stuff. And oh my God, the insane crap we do. If you ever want to listen to our bargain bin episodes where
I
we
like
review
it.
shitty movies. Oh my
You mean
God.
amazing
Although you guys
movies?
are wrong about Velocipaster. It's the greatest film of all time.
How dare you,
I will-
Aaron?
I
How
will-
dare
You
you?
say it's not. It's like
It's-
the oh my God. Don't get me started.
I will have to agree with Aaron on this.
Oh man.
Yeah, we have a fun little show, and if you want to catch it, we'll be reviewing Army of the Dead on the upcoming episode. That should be fun. The new J.J. Abrams, not J.J. Abrams, Jesus,
Zack Snyder.
wait a
Zack
minute,
Snyder.
Zack Snyder zombie movie. So check that
Oh
out.
God, Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Now you just put me off.
But Tig Notaro's in it.
Tig Notaro's in it.
The zombies
Oh, I'm
better
back
have
on, I'm
abs.
back
That's what I
on.
want.
Matt, thank you so much, man, for joining us. Talking
No,
about Star
thanks for
Trek
having
Beyond.
me. I can't pun like Brittany can, unfortunately.
No one can.
No
It's
one
magic.
can, man. You know that. No one
Yeah.
can. It's Jordy. It's Jordy. Matt.
Thanks- thanks,
Eric,
Giraffe.
I'm so tired. Eric got her.
Possible future host of Jeopardy.
Yeah, there you go.
Damn well
Um,
better be.
That's gonna do it, guys.
Agreed.
Join us next week. We have a great episode planned for you. It is half of our episode is going to be Patron's Choice, and then the other half we are welcoming Dr. Una McCormick to the show. She is the writer of the latest Star Trek Discovery model called One. I am so tired. Let
The
me try that again.
model.
Sorry. She's the author of the latest Star Trek Discovery novel, Wonderlands, which takes place between when Discovery comes into the future and Michael's year away from them. We're reading that. We're going to interview her all about it, so make sure to check that out. That's going to do it for Matt, for Aaron, for Eric, and for Brittany and Hawk, who aren't here. We say to you, live long and prosper. Good night.
Majram.
Majram.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.